It's Friday, October 23rd, and this is Now on HNN.
I still haven't been able to get through.
Now, despite a new unemployment call center, many are still struggling to get answers.
We anticipate that number will expand.
The COVID-19 outbreak on Lanai continues to grow as Mayor Mike Victorino considers locking down the island.
If you don't have to go out and you don't have to work or you don't have to do anything with the public, then stay at home.
The virus is surging again across much of the country. I'm Michael George with the new drug approved to treat COVID and the call for more testing nationwide.
Testing for COVID-19 is an absolutely essential component.
These stories, plus more changes you'll want to know about if you're planning on flying, coming up on This Is Now.
We begin with breaking news. We just got this video into our newsroom of a boat in distress in waters off Makaha. We're not exactly sure what happened at this point. You can see in the video several people in the water being rescued. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you any updates on our HNN digital platforms.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching. This is Now. Ashley and Jonathan here. Now with that story, we're told that Coast Guard crews and lifeguards worked together to bring 7 to 8 people to shore. Again, we'll bring you any updates as we get them. Now to our coronavirus numbers. Health officials say 3 more Oahu patients with COVID-19 have died, bringing Hawaii's official death toll to 209. DOH is also reporting 131 new infections today. 67 cases are on Oahu, 34 on the Big Island, and 29 in Maui County. On Lanai, we're told there may be at least 48 cases right now. We'll have more on that outbreak in just a few minutes, but first, an update on the state's response to the pandemic from Dr. Libby Char, who recently took over as the state's health director.
Yeah, there's been a lot of question about that secondary testing of visitors. It's voluntary on Kauai and Maui. It's required on Hawaii Island, not set up here on Oahu as of yet. And I wanted to ask you how important you think that secondary test is for trans-Pacific travelers and why there's not one response for the entire state. Because as you said, there's no county Department of Health, it's only state.
Yeah, so initially what we really wanted to do was to have a test prior to arriving, and then have visitors arrive and retest at about 3 or 4 days. There were issues with the capacity of the testing, and we didn't want to use all of our testing capacity on travelers that were visiting. We need to make sure that we have a robust testing capacity for our residents. And for outbreaks that we have within our state. And so we didn't impose the mandatory second test on Oahu because we weren't able to. The neighbor island counties felt like they did have capacity to do that second test, and so that's why they were able to stand up the second test in the various counties, and that's why it's a little bit different. It just had to do with some of the capacity. I would like very much to be able to test everybody, and even impose further quarantine before we do a second test, but my understanding is that we're just not able to do that.
Another Hawaii, we have spent several months, I know, as a nation trying to ramp up manufacturing and get those tests. Is it just Hawaii that's not getting enough tests?
Well, the testing piece is interesting. We're doing much better than we were even a week or a month ago with regard to our capacity, our testing capacity. But you have to realize that these are resources that are being sought by the entire nation. So for example, some of the professional sports industry has managed to purchase a whole bunch of testing kits and testing machines and equipment. And we're competing with private sector as well as with other counties and other states in order to procure some of this stuff. We're fortunate, we got some help, and we recently were able to spend $30 million purchasing point of care testing here, as well as the test kits that go with it. And then realize too that the testing is not only a matter of having a test kit, you need the machine to run it. And some of these machines require reagents. And so in some cases, if the reagents are in short supply, or things like pipette tips, then you can't actually run that sample and run that test, even though you have the machine or you may have the swabs. So it really is a little bit more complicated, and it requires several pieces of equipment and several resources to be able to run a test. As I noted, though, we've purchased $30 million. We have a lot more testing capacity. We have more kits, and we have many more point of care testing machines. And that's been a really good thing for us, especially in light of what's going on Lanai right now, that we're able to help support that.
3 weeks after the state launched a new call center to help unemployed workers get help with their claims, we're still hearing people are having problems. Casey Lund explains.
That new call center was set up about 3 weeks ago at the beginning of October, and we were told that the agents on the other end of the line would be trained in the subject matter and able to help claimants resolve some of the issues that are holding up their benefits. But we're hearing from a lot of people that that's simply not the case right now. The State Labor Department hired Maximus, a mainland company, to replace a dismantled phone bank that was at the Hawaii Convention Center. Acting Labor Director Ann Estachio said Maximus was recommended, and she was told that they could set up a virtual call bank to quickly help Hawaii's unemployed. The plan was to have 200 trained operators to be answering phones from 7:45 a.m. to 4:40 p.m. Monday through Friday. In addition, 100 adjudicators were supposed to have been brought on by mid-October, the middle of this month, to help deal with more complicated issues that typically hold up claims. Now, we've been talking to people like Melania Hancock, who was laid off from her part-time job as a teacher with the Honolulu Museum of Art. She says she waited for months with a status of pending for her claim. Eventually, she did get some benefits, but had a minor problem to resolve this financial quarter. Listen to her experience trying to get any help, and this again is after the state had launched that new call center.
I've been trying to reach them, and with that additional 200, I still haven't been able to get through. I call numerous times a day. I mean, you look at my call log, and it's just every single day trying to call them, and it's just the same message. That there's no one available now. Try again later. So that's a bit discouraging.
There were just over 5,000 new initial unemployment claims filed this past week, and we are seeing those numbers slowly improve. But for thousands of people like Melena who have relatively simple issues they need help with, the situation is becoming beyond frustrating, and really from those folks we're hearing, it's almost like a full-time job trying to get a hold of anybody. Now, we did reach out to the Department of Labor and Industrial Relations to get an update on the call center, exactly how many people are answering phones, and if in fact those 100 adjudicators are working to resolve those more difficult claim issues, but so far we haven't heard back. Back to you.
The Department of Education confirms that 3 Lanai High and elementary school students were diagnosed with COVID-19. Representative Linda Coit and Governor Ige are encouraging all Lanai residents to shelter in place, and Maui County Mayor Mike Victorino is considering ordering a lockdown that would start Monday. He is expected to make a decision by tonight.
I'm going to spend half a day there trying to do what I can, meet with the different groups if I can, and try to make sure people rest easy. We've had this before on Molokai. We've had this on Hana. We've done an immense amount of testing, sanitation, and if you look at the results, we were able to curb it and slow it down and get to a point where we stop it. We may be a little bit behind the 8 ball on this one because of the large number of the contacts. However, we're confident we can control this, but we need to get in there now and do what we can. And hopefully, with the people's support, and what the people can do right now is wear your mask, keep good physical distancing, stay at home as much as possible. Stay at home. Don't go out. If you don't have to go out and you don't have to work or you don't have to do anything with the public, then stay at home. That would probably be the best way you can start. Protect yourself, your family, and you protect your community.
And one of the biggest concerns is that Lanai's medical facilities could be rapidly overwhelmed. There are 4 hospital beds on Lanai and 1 ventilator. So far, no COVID patients have required medical attention, but should a patient need critical care, that person would have to be flown to Oahu or Maui. Here's Hilton Rathel with the Healthcare Association of Hawaii.
When you just look at the law of averages and the number of positive individuals who have tested so far, we anticipate that number will expand. And so we anticipate then that some of those individuals will potentially either exhibit symptoms or need to be admitted to a hospital.
For the first time, the FDA has approved a drug to treat COVID-19. This comes as states across the country are adjusting their response. Michael George has the very latest.
Nearly 8 months into the pandemic, COVID-19 has claimed over 1.1 million lives worldwide, more than 223,000 of them in the U.S.
We are at a critical juncture in this pandemic, particularly in the northern hemisphere.
The virus appears to be surging yet again in this country. More than 71,000 new infections were reported Thursday. It was the fourth highest total since the pandemic began.
Wisconsin continues to see high levels of COVID-19 hospitalizations.
The upper Midwest and the Rocky Mountains are getting hit hard now. In Idaho and other states, some hospitals are running out of room for new patients. The coronavirus is even spreading in areas with existing rules for wearing masks and social distancing. Some experts say a crucial part of the puzzle is missing.
Testing for COVID-19 is an absolutely essential component of getting through this pandemic, understanding where the virus is, and taking action to suppress the virus.
The Association of American Medical Colleges is calling for a coordinated national testing program.
With routine testing, we can find places and find individuals who are infected faster and make sure we isolate them until they are no longer contagious.
The federal government appears to be focusing its efforts on developing COVID vaccines and treatments. On Thursday, the FDA for the first time officially approved a COVID-19 drug. The antiviral remdesivir was among the medications administered to President Trump when he fell ill earlier this month. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Despite bars being closed and far less traffic, our roads don't seem to be any safer. According to HPD, 42 lives were lost in crashes so far this year. That's up 1 compared to the same time last year. But within the number are several deadly trends. Data from HPD sources show fatal crashes involving alcohol have risen 33%, while deadly accidents tied to drug use have jumped 60%. Speeding has also played a role in close to half of this year's fatal collisions. We talked about this with the founder of the local MAD chapter.
We have enough tragedy in the world and in our country and in our state because of COVID. And it is just a shame to add more fatalities, more injuries, more people in the hospital.
We told you yesterday that Southwest Airlines will no longer be blocking off middle seats on flights starting December in order to recoup losses from the pandemic. Here's Tom Costello with more on what airlines are doing in order to survive.
Southwest and Delta have been blocking middle seats to give passengers a few feet of social distance during the pandemic. But with new research suggesting it's safe to fly, Southwest says it will sell every available seat starting December 1st. American and United are already filling middle seats. Delta plans to do so in the first half of next year.
The facts are that it is a very safe environment. And with all of the filtering techniques with air, wearing masks, facing forward, is a very healthy environment.
The entire industry is in crisis. Passenger volume down 65%, losing billions of dollars in the third quarter alone. Without more government help, tens of thousands are furloughed. Southwest is now asking its unions to take pay cuts to avoid furloughs there. Airline CEOs warn it could take years for passenger levels to pick up.
I don't know what actually drives it. It may have to be a vaccine, but at some point, business needs to travel.
Researchers from Boeing and the University of Arizona recently spread live droplets from a more stubborn virus than COVID throughout a 737, then tested the techniques airlines now use to kill COVID. Chemical disinfectants, electrostatic sprayers, UV light wands, and an antimicrobial coating all killed the virus. Encouraging news for anyone booking travel who may find good airfares but packed planes, fewer direct flights, and more connections. Tom Costello, NBC News, Washington.
Thank you, Tom. All right, who's ready for this weekend? Oh my goodness, let's take you outside. It's looking a little gloomy still right now. And when are those trade winds gonna get back? Guy Hoggy, help us out.
How's it on this Aloha Friday? The stormy disturbance continues to sit over Kauai and Oahu, so we could see more heavy rain today for the western end of the state, maybe even some thunderstorms firing up from time to time, but the drier conditions from Maui County to the Big Island. The entire state will have light winds, maybe trending from the south-southeast. That brings up a moist air mass, so it's going to be sticky and it's going to be humid out there today. Temperatures running into the upper 80s, maybe even the low 90s. Kahului expected to get to 90. Of course, it's going to be cooler for the west end of the state because we'll have more cloud cover in addition to those spotty showers, which could even be heavy at times. And as far as the surf, it's going to be small today, really not really worth paddling out, 3 feet or less everywhere. However, by tomorrow afternoon, look for a building big swell coming into north and west shores. High surf advisories could be triggered by tomorrow. The swell expected to peak on Sunday into Monday with some very large swells. And then with the light winds, conditions should be pretty good for that swell. So we've got the spotty conditions, spotty showers today for Kauai and Oahu, drier conditions for Maui and the Big Island. Statewide, things dry up over the weekend. And then a cold front moves in on Monday, increases the showers. We could even get some heavy rain for parts of next week. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
Another big economic blow for our state. This year's Honolulu Marathon has been canceled. Japanese visitors typically account for about half of the 30,000 runners. The marathon is the largest economic impact event in the state, bringing in $130 million a year in direct spending. Anyone who already registered can hold their entry for the next scheduled race in December 2021. Organizers are now trying to plan a virtual event.
We've been talking about this a lot. A rising number of retailers are closing across the country. We've got Nichelle Medina, who shows us how developers and malls are changing the way they do business.
A popular tourist attraction in the heart of Hollywood is about to be transformed. The famed Hollywood and Highland Mall will undergo a $100 million makeover.
Even before COVID hit, we still had these plans of this $100 million renovation. And I think for us that we've seen that this is probably more important today than it even was a year ago.
Shopping malls nationwide were struggling and closing even before the pandemic. Now, a rising number are being pushed to the brink.
Last year, a record 9,800 stores shut down. This year, Coreside Research predicts that number to more than double to 25,000, and nearly 60% will be in a mall.
Not only have we seen extinction at an unprecedented pace, but I do unfortunately believe that it will continue.
Deborah Weinswig of Coreside Research says high-end malls will likely survive because luxury retail tenants have higher profit margins. Malls with lower price stores and more vacancies face the highest risk of closure.
They may survive as something else, but they won't be a traditional mall.
It's our belief that with change comes opportunity.
Developers of the Hollywood and Highland project are redesigning the 5-story complex and renaming it Ovation. There will be less retail and more entertainment and events. About a third of the complex will be transformed into offices on the upper floors. Another third will be dedicated to dining.
We have kind of this outside dining al fresco area.
It's hoped that after the pandemic, the open and inviting model will attract locals, tourists, and millennials.
It's really on us as a developer and as an owner to set that stage for brands to figure out creative, innovative ways to showcase what they do.
Reimagining retail, an idea malls hope consumers will buy into. Nichelle Medina, CBS News, Los Angeles.
I have to say, last time I was on the mainland, I did notice that some of the malls were transforming. They'd been very empty in the past visits I'd been there, and the last time I was in Illinois visiting my parents, I think the mall there even has like a health clinic in one of the former Anchor stores, and I think another mall nearby has turned some of the facilities into schools, like charter schools.
Interesting.
So it's pretty amazing to see the transformation there.
Well, if you can buy anything online these days.
Yeah, it's going to be less and less brick and mortar. Yep. But speaking of shopping online, which I'm totally addicted to, Google has rolled out a new price tracking tool for online holiday shopping this year. So get ready. It's called the Google Shopping tab. It allows you to see whether prices of an item are high, low, or typical by comparing prices to shipping options and whether or not they're online or at nearby stores. The site also shows you whether curbside pickup is available.
That's very cool.
I
That's
would use
handy.
this. I love comparison tools like this.
Same.
I'm really big on using Skiplagged when we could travel. It was very similar to this. It compares airline prices. I used it all the time.
If I can save a quarter, sign me up.
My middle name is Thrifty.
And if you're like John and me and you grew up with Sesame Street and Legos, well, the two things are teaming up. So Lego just unveiled a Sesame Street building set packed with real details from the famous New York City neighborhood. Now, Hooper's store, Oscar the Grouch's trash can, Bert and Ernie's apartment, and of course, Big Bird's nest can all be found in this kit. And mini figures of the famous characters are also provided. The new set available November 1st.
You just brought back the warmest feeling to me when you said Hooper's store. I completely forgot about Mr. Hooper. Oh man, what a great character.
I know, they don't make good cartoons like this anymore.
And those are some of the coolest Lego figures I've ever seen. I have to give it to Lego there. They're very, very cute.
Yeah, they've been coming up with some cool stuff. And so some face mask makers have added scents to their products. We've told you about one that smells like bacon. Well, Jack in a Box is debuting a mask that smells like fried chicken. Now, it's all part of the fast food chain's newest promotion for its plant-based chicken sandwich. Very interesting.
Okay.
Now, the mask is decorated with the new sandwich, smiley faces, and the Jack in the Box logo. The free face covering is available on the chain's website at no cost, starting today while supplies last.
You said plant-based chicken sandwich.
Yeah, but it smells like fried chicken.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that they're getting into that game. The chicken sandwich war continues and they're going the plant-based route, which we're also seeing so many restaurants jump into that trend as well.
Yeah, but they're not necessarily better for you because they're like packed with salt and all
a lot
these
of
chemicals.
fatty stuff sometimes too.
Yeah.
But they taste pretty good. All right, guys, there's this guy in Massachusetts. He's really getting into the Halloween spirit in a very unique way. We've got Adam Williams to explain exactly what he's doing.
A headless horseman strumming some terrifying tunes while riding around Concord. His gory gimmick getting plenty of attention this Halloween season. But Matthew Dunkel's intention isn't to frighten people around town. He wants to entertain.
I've always wanted to reach out and build community through my music and my talent and my enthusiasm.
Dunkel says he started riding his bike in costume about 5 years ago as a way to deal with his grief while going through a divorce and a death in the family. But his musical joyride quickly turned into a passion project.
At first, I could barely ride without, taking my hands off the handlebars, but eventually I got better and better at it.
Dunkel says he bought this costume last year but never wore it.
I wanted to incorporate it in the bicycle performance. I thought it would be really wild and kind of breathtaking for people to see somebody riding around without a head, and I got cold feet.
Then in April, he dusted it off and went for a ride.
I thought it was a really good opportunity to bring it out because there weren't a lot of cars on the roads, and I had a lot of space to move around.
But now that more people are out and about, his spooktacular stunt is offering a fun distraction.
I have had so many people tell me that I bring joy and happiness and smiles.
And speaking of Halloween, you guys, don't forget we're having a Halloween costume contest in celebration of This Is Now's 1-year anniversary. Here's how it's going to work. You're going to upload a photo of you in your Halloween costume to the Hawaii News Now website by next week, Wednesday the 28th. We'll pick 6 finalists, and then the top 3 contestants will be determined by you. You can vote on Instagram by liking your favorite finalist, Hawaii News Now's Instagram, and then we'll announce the winners next week, Friday on This Is Now at noon, and you guys are going to get some awesome prizes.
Yeah, and from the feeds, we're seeing some of your costumes. We're going to leave you with that today. Check these out, guys. So cute. I love the hand sanitizer. Very clever. I'm liking seeing these sort of topical costumes. Pet costumes are great. I cannot wait to judge this contest, and I also can't wait to see what Ashley's going to wear. So we'll have to wait till next week, guys. Have a good weekend.